Hi, good morning. Let's discuss about the concept of leasing here. As you all know that lease is a contract in which two persons are there and one person is known as lessor and second person is known as lessee. So lessor gives the assets to a person who is known as lessee for using that asset for an agreed period of time. So this is known as leasing agreement. Suppose if you got an asset, you are giving that asset to another person for 5-year time period and you can use that asset for 5 years and you give me the rental charges for that asset. That agreement is known as lease agreement. So I think you understood that there are two persons in that. The person who gives the asset is known as lessor. The person who uses the asset is known as lessee. These are the two parties involved in leasing agreement. So basically there are two types of lease. One is known as upfronted lease and second one is known as back-ended lease. What is upfronted leases? Upfronted leases, more rental charges are charging in the initial years and less amount is charging in the later years of the contract. Such kind of lease agreements are known as upfronted leases. And opposite one is known as back-ended leases. Back-ended leases, less rental charges are charging in the initial years and more rental charges are in the later years of the contract. Such kind of lease agreements are known as back-ended leases. So lease agreements are of two types, upfronted leases and back-ended leases. So this is lease. Lease are of different types. Let's look into the operating lease. Basically, these lease agreements are classified into three categories. One is known as operating lease, and second one is financing lease, and third one is sale and lease back. These are the three types of lease agreements which are very popular. What is operating lease? Operating lease is known as a short-term agreement which can be cancelable at any time. Such kind of lease agreements are known as operating lease. Suppose if you are taking a hotel room for 2 days, that's also a lease agreement which is known as operating lease. You go there and take the room for 2 days and you are actually a lessee here. And lessor is the person who give you the room. Okay, that's known as lessor. So anytime it can be cancelable. 2 days agreement, it's a 2 days agreement, cancelable at any time. It's a short-term agreement. That is known as operating lease. Or if you are taking a rent a car 1 day or 2 day, you are taking the car on rental basis. That is also known as operating lease. If you are taking the computers on rental basis for 1 week, that is also a lease contract. Some organizations are giving the office equipments for 1 month. So that is also known as operating lease. So such kind of lease agreements are actually short-term lease agreements which can be cancelable at any particular point of time. Such kind of leases are known as operating lease. So in this operating lease, lessor is basically responsible for maintaining that asset and lessor is responsible for paying the insurance charges. Lessee have no responsibility in paying the insurance charges. So which means that risk of obsolescence always remains with the lessor. Lessee does not have more risk involving in it. Risk vests with the lessor, maintenance cost has to be borne by the lessor, insurance amount has to be paid by the lessor. That's the peculiarity of operating lease. Let's look into the second type of lease, that is known as financial lease. It's a long-term agreement which is not at all cancelable. Such kind of lease agreements are known as financial lease agreements. Example, if you take the machineries, if you take the land on a long-term basis, building on long-term basis, ships and aircraft on long-term basis, which is not cancelable. If it is for 15 years, 20 years, you are taking the lease, the land lease, these are very popular in the market. Such kind of lease agreements are known as financial lease. Okay, so there are two types of lease. One is operating lease and second one is financial lease. So both of these leasing agreements are very popular and financial lease importance is actually increasing nowadays in the market. And third type of lease agreement is known as sale and lease back. That means a user, that means lessee will sell the asset owned by him. Lessee has got some assets and he is selling the asset to that particular lessor. to the lessor and lease it back from him. Okay, lease it back from him. Such kind of lease agreements are known as sale and lease back agreements. It provides some kind of substantial tax benefits. That's the purpose of sale and lease back agreement. So lessee will sell the assets owned by him to the lessor and lease it back from him. Such kind of agreements are known as sale and lease back agreement. Why the companies are doing this? The only purpose is to get the tax benefits. Substantial tax benefits will be available because of this lease agreement. Let's take a simple example for that. In April 1989, Shipping Credit Investment Corporation of India purchased Great Eastern Shipping Company bulk carrier Jaglata for rupees 12.5 crore and then leased it back to GESC. GESC means Great Eastern Shipping Company on a 5-year lease. The rentals amount 28.13 lakh per month. So what's the advantage of that? The tax deduction can be made for the company. So the tax benefits will be available to them. That is why the sale and lease back agreements are very, very popular in the market. So there are a lot of terminologies that are used in lease agreement. Let's just go through that. Leveraged lease, cross-border lease, closed and open-ended lease, direct lease, master lease, percentage lease, wet and dry lease, update lease. All these are the terms that using. Okay, you just check it out, the meaning of each and every term. And what are the myths about leasing? And there are some misconception about leasing. Leasing provides 100% of financing. It's not correct actually. Leasing provides off-balance sheet financing. Financing, it's not a pakka financing method. Okay, leasing improves performance. It's not completely correct. Leasing may or may not improve performance, but it's not 100% leasing will never improve the performance. Okay, leasing avoids control of capital spending. Leasing can avoid control of capital spending, but leasing will never always avoid the control of capital spending. You need to have spent some amount on maintenance of machinery, maintenance of land. A lot of expenditures will incur always. So it never avoid the control of capital spending. These are some myths about leasing, but leasing is always good. You know, if you have not enough money to invest in a big assets and all, so the best option is leasing. So nowadays educational institutions are giving their institution for 5 years on lease basis to another person. And there are a lot of parties coming forward with a lot of technical capability or educational capability. They will take the educational institution and run it for others and make it in a profitable way. That's also happening in the market. So different types of lease agreements are nowadays in the market. Okay, thank you.